Have you ever felt trapped in a cycle of financial worries, where prosperity seems like a distant and unattainable reality? Many of us have been in that place where bills pile up and hope fades. However, it is precisely in these moments of adversity that we are invited to strengthen our faith and seek a deeper connection with God, allowing His light to illuminate our path and guide us towards the abundance we so desire. Faith is an invaluable treasure that enriches our soul and provides us with the strength necessary to face life's challenges. She is the light that illuminates our destinies, enriches our intelligence, and exalts our heart. Jesus taught us that even if our faith is the size of a mustard seed, we can move mountains and overcome seemingly insurmountable obstacles. However, it is common to face doubts and insecurities that undermine our confidence in the future. A lack of financial prosperity can lead us to question our own abilities and worth. But it is precisely in these moments that we must remember that God never abandons us. He is always by our side, ready to guide us and offer solutions that may not be immediately visible to our human eyes. Connection with God is fundamental to achieving prosperity in all areas of our lives. This connection provides us with inner peace, clarity of purpose, and the certainty that we are on the right path. When we truly surrender to Him, allowing His will to prevail over our selfish desires, we make room for divine blessings to flow abundantly toward us. It is important to recognize that prosperity is not just limited to the financial aspect. It encompasses health, harmonious relationships, personal and spiritual growth. God desires us to experience a full and abundant life. As mentioned in John 10 verse 10, I came that they might have life and have it abundantly. To cultivate this integral prosperity, it is essential that we practice gratitude daily. By recognizing and being grateful for the small and large blessings we receive, we change our perspective and attract even more good things into our lives. Gratitude is a powerful tool that connects us directly with divine energy and aligns us with the frequency of abundance. Furthermore, we must be attentive to the opportunities that God places in our path. Often, answers to our prayers come disguised as challenges or unexpected changes. It is necessary to have courage and discernment to embrace the new and trust that, even in the face of the unknown, we are being guided towards something better. The practice of generosity is also a fundamental pillar for attracting prosperity. By sharing our resources, time, and love with others, we create a continuous flow of positive energy that returns to us multiplied. As it is written in Luke 6 verse 38, "Give, and it will be given to you. Good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over, will be poured into your lap." It is natural to face moments of discouragement and tiredness throughout the journey. At these times, prayer becomes our refuge and source of renewal. Through it, we strengthen our faith and reaffirm our trust in divine plans. As mentioned in Philippians 4 verses 6 to 7, do not be anxious about anything, but in everything, let your requests be made known to God by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving. And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds in Christ Jesus. Remember that prosperity begins internally with the transformation of our thoughts and attitudes. By cultivating a positive mindset and aligned with divine principles, we pave the way for blessings to manifest externally. God created us to live in abundance, and it is up to us to accept this truth and act accordingly. Therefore, I invite you to reflect on your relationship with prosperity and faith. What limiting beliefs have prevented you from experiencing the abundance God desires for your life? How can you strengthen your connection with the divine and allow this relationship to transform every area of your existence? By seeking these answers with sincerity and an open heart, you will take the first steps towards a full, prosperous life aligned with divine purposes. May we, together, walk this path of faith and prosperity, trusting that God is always by our side, guiding and supporting us at every step. Believe in the abundance that the Creator has reserved for you and allow His light to illuminate your path, today and always. Have you ever noticed how, in the midst of difficulties, silent questions arise in our hearts? Questions like, why me? Does God really see me? Or when will it be my turn? These questions are not a sign of weakness, but rather of a soul crying out for meaning, for answers, for relief. And it is in this silent cry that God comes closest. He is not offended by your doubts. He doesn't move away when you cry in secret or when your faith seems too small to move anything. On the contrary, He leans in to hear even the faintest of sighs, because His love for you is unconditional, intense, and personal. The truth is that you are not created to survive every day with a heavy heart, afraid of tomorrow, or carrying the burden of what if. God doesn't want you to just endure life. He wants you to live abundantly. And when I talk about abundance, I'm not just talking about money or material goods, but about peace that makes you sleep peacefully, about emotional health that makes you really smile, about relationships that heal instead of hurting, about a purpose that makes your heart burn with the desire to live. But maybe today you are too tired to even believe that. Maybe you've tried everything and yet the doors remain closed. Dreams remain distant and fear follows you like a shadow. This is where something powerful comes in, the decision to trust even without seeing. The faith that attracts the impossible is not the one that expects to feel security. It's the one who stands up in the midst of the storm and says, I still believe. It is in this sincere surrender that transformation begins. When you take the weight out of your own hands and say to God, I don't know how, but I know the Lord knows. At that moment, something changes inside you. Anxiety loses strength. Hope begins to bloom again. And little by little, life begins to respond with discreet but profound miracles. You realize that unexpected money came at the right time. That pain that has been with you for months begins to disappear. That call, that opportunity, that conversation that seemed unlikely just happened. This is God acting. This is His hand moving everything in your favor. But this is also the result of a heart that decided to trust, that decided to walk by faith and not by sight. God does not want you to live like someone who begs for crumbs. You are a son, you are a daughter, you are an heir to the promises. But before you receive, you need to align your soul with this truth. And I know there are days when everything seems contrary, that the struggle seems bigger than the promise. But even on these days, God is present. He is not testing your strength. He is molding your character. Because to sustain great blessings, you need a firm, prepared heart. Sometimes what you see as delay is, in fact, God's loving care so that you receive it at the right time, in the right way, with the right heart. You have not been forgotten. You're not alone. You're being prepared. And in this process, every tear counts, every prayer matters. Every step of faith is watched with affection by heaven. Nothing escapes the Father's gaze. If today you feel like you have no more strength, just rest. Resting in God is not giving up, it is trust. It's stopping trying to control everything and letting Him take care of what only He can take care of. And He takes care of it with detail, with perfection. Think about the last time something unexpectedly good happened in your life. Remember? You thought it wouldn't work. I was tired, discouraged. But suddenly the answer came. This is to remind you that the same God who did it once does it again, and more, because He doesn't work with limits, He works with infinity. Your story does not end in this difficult chapter. The best is yet to come, and while that isn't enough, strengthen your heart with the certainty that you are being led. It's not stopped, it's being carried. And if everything seems dark now, know God's silence is never absence. Sometimes heaven is in deep motion, sowing miracles that you cannot yet see. But you'll see, because harvest time comes for everyone who continues to plant faith, even with tears. Today, God is saying to you, son, daughter, I see you. I have not forgotten the promises. I am here. I am working. And that needs to be enough to calm your heart for now. Not because you gave up dreaming, but because you decided to trust that His dreams are even bigger. Don't compare yourself to others. The neighbor's grass may look greener, but you don't know the seeds he planted, nor the time he waited. Focus on your own journey. Honor your time. Trust your process. The prosperity you seek begins within you. When you believe it is possible, when you release the past, when you forgive, including yourself, when you silence fear and feed faith. Today, make a choice to truly walk with God, not only in difficult times, but also in the small moments of the day. It wants to be part of your routine, not just a help in an emergency. He wants to talk to you in silence. He wants to hug you when no one else is around. And little by little, this relationship heals your wounds, fills your voids, shows you who you really are. Someone created with love, called to live a life of purpose and joy. Yes, there is a path of blessings ahead of you. It can seem narrow, time-consuming, challenging. But He takes you to what your eyes haven't seen yet, what your heart hasn't even dreamed of yet. Continue. Keep believing. Keep praying. Keep waiting. Because whoever plants faith reaps miracles. And today, God wants you to know you're closer than you imagine. What if I told you that what you call delay is actually the loving care of a God who knows every second of time, that He is not only preparing the way, but also shaping you so that when the blessing comes, you are ready to sustain it? Because receiving without being prepared can be more harmful than not receiving at all. God, in His wisdom, acts with precision. He's not late. He waits for the exact moment. The moment where your heart will be healed, your faith firm, and your vision aligned with His purposes. You may be tired, yes. You may be frustrated, and even wanting to stop. But I need to remind you of something essential. Your story is still being written. And God didn't start something in you to leave half done. It doesn't matter how many doors are closed. It doesn't matter how many times you have been ignored. rejected, or discredited. In human eyes, perhaps you are in an ordinary place, but in God's eyes, you are under construction, in process, being prepared, because the plans He has for you are bigger than yours. And that is liberating. How many times have you tried to do everything your way, control everything yourself, solve every problem with your own strength? And how many of those times did you end up exhausted, frustrated, broken? This is no coincidence. This is God showing you that there's another way, that of surrender. Surrendering is not abandoning. It's trusting. It's saying, God, I did everything I could. Now I do the hardest thing. I wait. Because waiting in faith is one of the most sincere proofs of trust anyone can give. And God honors those who wait for Him. You're not being punished for the wait time. You're being strengthened. Because prosperity without structure cannot be sustained. Do you want abundance? Start by cultivating deep roots. A tree that grows too quickly without firm roots may appear leafy on the outside, but falls at the first wind. That's why God is steadying you now, teaching you to listen to His voice, to depend on His presence, to let His Spirit guide even the smallest decisions in your life. Because true prosperity is not built only with good ideas, but with obedience and sensitivity to the voice from above. Have you ever noticed that some of God's greatest answers came in unlikely ways? Simple people, unexpected situations, small doors that hid great miracles. This is how He works. He doesn't need the world's applause to make something extraordinary happen in His life. He just needs your faith, even small, even wobbly, even injured. He just needs a heart willing to say, I still believe. And I know there are days when it seems like nothing happens, that life has stagnated, that the promise became just a memory. But remember, seeds germinate in silence. Most growth happens in the invisible, away from the eyes. God is working where you can't see. It's lining up encounters, healing things you didn't even know you needed, undoing traps that were placed in your path. And when everything is ready, you will see clearly that His time was, and always has been, the best. But until then, don't stop. Don't back down. Don't walk away. Continue seeking His presence. Keep being faithful with little. Keep serving even if no one sees. Keep loving even without return. Because when harvest time comes, and it will come, everything will make sense. Those days of silent tears, those sleepless nights, those prayers made between sobs, God saw them all, and none of them were in vain. You may have been rejected by people, discredited by circumstances, but heaven never ignored you. Your name is engraved in the hands of the Creator, and He doesn't give up on you. Now take a deep breath. You don't need to understand everything. You just need to keep going, because those who continue, even without seeing, soon see what others never imagined. And do you know what God has for you? Much more than what you are asking for. Yes, He knows your desire for financial prosperity. He knows about your bills, your debts, your dreams that involve freedom, dignity, provision. But He wants to give you more than money. He wants to give you wisdom, discernment, inner peace. Because when the money comes, and it will come, you will not be dominated by it. You will know how to use, how to multiply, how to bless other lives through what God has placed in your hands. This is true prosperity, the one that begins within, that grows stronger in faith, that expands in generosity, that stands firm in gratitude. Don't forget, you are the King's son. You are not born to live on crumbs, but yes, to live on miracles. And miracles cannot be explained if they live, and they often happen in the midst of pain, because that's where the sky tilts. That's where grace flourishes. It is there that God reveals himself. Today, God is saying, trust. What I am preparing is greater than what you asked for. What seems slow is actually being perfected. I have not forgotten you, and you need to respond with what you have. With your heart, with your delivery, with your faith, even if it is weakened. Because the promise does not depend on the size of your strength. It depends on his faithfulness, and in that you can rest. You're closer than you think. What if for a moment you stop trying to understand everything? If instead of seeking explanations for every closed door, every delay, every prayer that has not yet been answered, you simply rested in the certainty that God knows exactly what he is doing. The faith that moves mountains is not the faith that understands, but the faith that trusts even without understanding. There is something powerful about learning to rest, even in the midst of chaos. Because when you surrender control, you finally allow God to do what only he can do. And sometimes it's at that exact moment, when you let go of the weight, let go of the anxiety, let go of the expectation, that the miracle begins to blossom. But make no mistake, this is not a rest for those who have given up. It is the rest of those who decided to trust. It is the peace that comes when the heart bows and says, "Thy will be done, not mine." And in this place, God works with freedom. You may have spent a lifetime trying to prove your worth, fighting rejection, trying hard to be enough. But today, God reminds you, you don't need to prove yourself to him. You're already loved. It is already accepted. It's already been chosen. Prosperity begins when you see yourself as God sees you. Worthy, precious, full of purpose. It doesn't matter what they said about you. It doesn't matter who made you believe that you were little, that you weren't capable, that you would never win. God's voice always has the final word, and he is saying, you were created to win. But winning isn't always what the world says it is. Sometimes winning means moving forward even with your heart in pieces. Sometimes it's about continuing to believe even when everything seems contrary. Sometimes it's about forgiving someone who never apologized. It's keeping peace in the midst of scarcity. This is the strength that the world does not understand. The strength that comes from above. The strength that does not depend on circumstances, but on presence. Yes, the presence of God changes everything. What if you knew how much she accompanies you? If you only knew how much he is there, even when you think you are alone. He doesn't turn away on his worst days. He doesn't turn away when you fail. It remains loyal, constant, loving, and the closer you get to him, the more your vision begins to change. What used to keep you up at night is now delivered. What filled you with fear is now entrusted into his hands. And something miraculous happens. Peace begins to take the place of despair. Hope begins to resurface. The smile returns, even for no apparent reason, because you start living from the inside out, no longer dominated by bills that haven't been paid yet, for the weight that seems endless, for the dreams that have not yet come true, but dominated by a greater certainty. God is in control, and when he is in control, everything can change in an instant. Have you ever thought about this? That one word from him would be enough to completely transform your reality? A connection, a meeting, an idea, a direction. God doesn't need a lot of time. He just needs the right moment. And while you wait, He strengthens you, matures you, aligns you with the sky. So don't complain about the process. Don't curse the desert, because it is there that God meets you face to face. It is there that you learn to hear His voice, to trust when everything is silent. And when the blessing comes, because it will come, you will know exactly where it came from. And no one will be able to steal that certainty from you. Don't forget, God is pleased to bless you. He is your Father. He is happy to see you well, complete, full of life. But He loves you so much that He won't give you anything that takes you away from Him. So, if it hasn't arrived yet, it's because He is protecting you from something you can't yet see. And that is love. Do you want prosperity? So start looking for presents. Because where the Spirit of God is, there is freedom. And where there is freedom, there is space for the new, for the miracle, for transformation. Prosperity is a result, not the beginning. It is the consequence of a surrendered heart, of persevering faith, of a grateful spirit. And you can start today. It doesn't matter what the last few years have been like. It doesn't matter how many times you failed. You can start over. You can rise again. You can believe again. God is still here, still believes in you, still dreams of you. So lift your head. Take a deep breath. Tell yourself, I'm not alone. God is with me. And the best is yet to come, because it is. And when everything starts to happen, and it will happen, you will remember this time of waiting not with pain, but with gratitude, because it was where you grew the most. It was there that you discovered your strength, who learned to trust, who came closer to God like never before. And in the end, you will see that it was worth it. And when you look back and see the path you took, each tear, each prayer said in silence, each door that closed, each day that dawned without answers, it will all make sense. You will understand that even when it seemed like nothing was happening, God was moving you towards a greater purpose. He doesn't waste pain. It transforms, heals, rebuilds. What seems like a delay today, tomorrow will be a testimony. You may not realize it, but there's an army of angels surrounding you right now, guarding your steps, protecting your home, shielding your heart against what you can't even imagine. Because you are too valuable to go unprotected. Heaven invests in you every day, even on the days when you feel nothing, on the days when your faith is fragile. Still, you are surrounded. That's why, even after so many falls, you're still standing. Have you noticed that? How many times did you think you couldn't stand it? That that problem would destroy you? That that news would break you? But you are here. You survived. You overcame it. You won. And this is no coincidence. It's grace. It's a favor. It's God saying, it's not over yet. There's still more. There are still promises to be fulfilled. No matter how dark it is now, the light always wins. And that light is within you. You are not just flesh and bones. You are soul. You are spirit. You carry the breath of the Creator within you. It means that you were born with purpose, that there is a plan, that your existence is not an accident. You have value. You have unique gifts. You have something the world needs. And perhaps what's missing is not a new path, but the courage to continue on the path that God has already shown you. Yes, sometimes it is tiring. The road seems long, but He is with you every step of the way. Even when you don't hear, He is speaking. Even when you don't see it, He is acting. Even when you don't feel it, He is there. You don't need to understand everything now. You just need to keep going. And if you can't run, walk. If you can't walk, stay standing. And if even that seems like too much, then stay in his lap. Because there are days when faith is just that, letting yourself be carried. Don't cover yourself so much. Don't blame yourself for being tired. Exhaustion is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign that you have been struggling. And God recognizes every battle, including those that only you know you are fighting. And He is taking care. While you sleep, He works. As you cry, He collects each tear. While you wait, He prepares. And when the time comes, the right time, you will experience what you can only imagine today. But until then, live in faith. Do what you can. Be grateful for the little. Serve with love. Bless others, even when you yourself are waiting for blessings. Because everything you plant comes back. And when you plant with the right heart, God makes it bear fruit beyond your ability. He opens doors that no one closes. He removes obstacles you didn't even see. He puts the right people in your path, sends opportunities, promotes divine connections. You may think that you are late, that you are behind others. But God does not work with a human clock. He works with purpose. And the right time for you is different from the right time for others. What is being prepared for you is yours alone. Nobody can take it. No one can occupy. God wrote this story with His name, and He will do it. So stop comparing yourself. You don't need the success of others to confirm your worth. You don't need validation from the world to know you're on the right path. You need the peace that comes from knowing you are walking with God. And this peace does not depend on circumstances. It is born from trust, of that silent certainty that says, I don't know what will happen tomorrow, but I know who holds my tomorrow. And this one is faithful. He doesn't lie. He doesn't abandon. He doesn't fail. So today, instead of feeding fear, feed faith. Instead of repeating what is missing, be grateful for what you already have. Instead of looking at what hasn't arrived, celebrate what has already passed and made you stronger. You are stronger than you think, more resilient than you think, more capable than you think, and the whole sky is rooting for you. God is by your side, breathing courage into your lungs, rekindling dreams that seemed extinguished, renewing hopes that seemed lost. You didn't come this far to stop. You didn't go through all this to give up. The road does not end in this valley. There's a lot waiting for you. There are new beginnings in store. There are doors opening. So, don't let the pain of now make you forget the eternal promises. God hasn't changed His mind about you. He will still surprise you. And what comes will be bigger, lighter, more beautiful. Because it will come from Him. And when it comes, you'll understand why you had to wait. You will realize that if you had received it before, you might not have valued it as much as you do now. Maybe you wasn't prepared emotionally, spiritually, or mature enough to sustain what was to come. Because mismanaged blessings become burdens. But what comes from God, in God's time, carries with it peace, purpose, and permanence. That's why the Lord first taught you to depend on Him, to trust Him even without understanding, to pray when everything seemed silent. Because He wanted to strengthen you on the inside before blessing you on the outside. He knew that before releasing the promise, He needed to shape the vessel. And He did it lovingly, even the moments when you thought you were being forgotten. You have not been forgotten. You have been separated. Separate to live something different. Something bigger. Something aligned with the heavens. Because not everything that seems like a blessing is a blessing. And not everything that delays is a loss. Sometimes delay is deliverance. Sometimes God's no now is the yes that will save you later. Therefore, learn to trust the no's too. Waiting, in the silence, in the delay, not as someone who suffers from not having it, but as someone who prepares to receive the best. Because when God delivers, He delivers completely. No flaws, no loopholes, no pain disguised as victory. And He is preparing something like this for you. But He wants you to be an active part of it. May you take a stand. May you continue to believe. May you stop looking at the ground and lift your eyes to the sky, because that is where your help will come from. As long as you're only looking at your limitations, you will not see the size of God's power. But when you lift your head and say, Lord, I believe you can change my life, you set the stage for miracles. You change your frequency, align your soul with purpose, and paves the way for abundance. Because scarcity is often just a reflection of what is trapped inside. When a mind and heart are at peace, the outside world begins to respond. And God, who is the author of all provision, begins to act in all areas. It can open doors of employment, multiply resources, cure illnesses, restore relationships. But more than that, He wants to transform you. He wants to make you someone who carries peace, even when everything is lacking. Someone who carries faith, even on cloudy days. Someone who carries hope, even when the scenario is dark. Because true prosperity begins in the soul. The prosperity of heaven is complete. It brings relief to the heart, direction to the mind, and provision to the body. It does not separate spirituality from reality. It unites it. Because God does not want you to live only on spiritual promises and continue suffering here on earth. He wants you to live a full, complete life with purpose, joy, and provision. And that's why He is touching areas that you thought were forgotten. That's why some things are being deconstructed. Because before taking you to a new place, He is cleaning up the residue of the old one. You are removing what no longer serves you. It is freeing you from invisible prisons, from the guilt of the past, from the fears of the future, from the patterns that imprison you. You are free, free to prosper, free to grow, free to start over. And it doesn't matter how many times they've tried to convince you otherwise. God created you to flourish. Not just survive, but flourish. Even on dry ground. Even in the midst of pain. Even after a long wait. And He doesn't look at you as someone broken, bankrupt, or with no way out. He looks at you and sees promise, sees future, sees beauty. So start looking at yourself like that too. Stop putting yourself down. From criticizing yourself all the time, to compare yourself to people who don't even know your story. You are unique. It carries brands that tell about victories that only you know about. You overcame difficult days. He faced deserts. He cried in silence. And still it continued. And that says a lot about you. You are strong, but not because it can handle everything. He's strong because even when He can't handle it, He doesn't give up believing. And it is this faith that God honors. Not perfect faith, but sincere faith. The faith that, even small, insists on staying. The faith that says, Lord, I don't understand, but I trust. And that trust transforms everything. Changes the sky, moves the heart of God, tears down walls, opens seas, breaks chains, and it brings the supernatural to the natural. Because God does not need perfect conditions to act. He just needs a willing heart. So have yours. Today. Now. and say, Lord, I'm ready. Do your will in me. I surrender my fears, my doubts, my pain. I surrender what I can no longer hold. And I trust that you will take care of everything. And he will, because he promised. And everything he promises, he fulfills. Maybe not in your time, maybe not your way, but always perfectly. And when it happens, you'll remember every moment you almost gave up. And you will smile. You will be grateful. You'll understand, because it was all part of the process. Everything worked together for good. Everything brought you here. And from now on, you are no longer alone. You never were. You may have even believed that you were alone, forgotten, left in a corner of life where nothing made sense. But you weren't. God has always been there. In your silences, on the nights you cried in secret, in the days when everything seemed like an endless wait. He was there when you thought you couldn't take it anymore, when you ran out of words to even pray. He was when no one noticed his pain, when no one reached out to you. He extended his entire arm. And now he wants you to know nothing was in vain. No tears fell unseen. No sigh of tiredness went unnoticed. Every time you fought to continue, even without strength, heaven celebrated. Every small gesture of faith, every prayer made with a choked voice, every time you chose the good, even when you were hurt, all of this is being honored. Because God does not look the way man looks. Man sees what is on the outside. God sees the heart. And your heart, even though it is wounded, remains a place where he lives, a place where he acts, a place where he will bring forth miracles that will surprise even you. But he needs you to keep believing, even if it is with broken faith, even if it's scared, because God does not reject a sincere heart. And sometimes the greatest act of faith is simply not giving up. You have already won a lot. He has already overcome storms that seem to have no end. He has already gone through processes that people around him cannot even imagine. And yet, you are here, not by luck, but for grace, by divine choice. God not only preserved you, he chose you. And when he chooses, it is to be fulfilled. He doesn't start stories and leave them in the middle. He doesn't promise to go back later. If he said he will do it, he will, even if it takes time, even if the path seems confusing, even if circumstances try to scream otherwise. Therefore, firm your faith, not in what you see, but in what God has already said, because what he says comes true. Maybe time is tiring you, and that's okay. But don't allow time to defeat the purpose. Waiting is a school, and you have learned. It has matured. It has grown, even without realizing it. And soon, very soon, you will find yourself living what you could only imagine one day. Because harvest time arrives, and when it arrives, the fruits are sweet. They are abundant. They are indisputable. They do not come by the strength of your arm, but by the faithfulness of God. The prosperity you seek so much is on the way. But while it doesn't reach its fullness, God will fill you with peace, with discernment, with wisdom to manage what you already have. Yes, because being prosperous also means knowing how to live well with little. It's sleeping peacefully even without everything figured out. It's smiling even when it still hurts inside. This is faith in movement. This is trusting beyond the circumstances. And when you live like this, something starts to change. First inside you, then around you. The environment responds. The doors open. The right connections appear. Ideas flow. And you understand it was God all along, working behind the scenes. taking care of the details, setting the stage. But he also needs your willingness, because prosperity is partnership. You do your part, he does the impossible. You dream, he enlarges. You plant, he multiplies. You walk, he guides. Don't think that everything needs to be perfect for God to act. He acts in chaos. He moves in the midst of the impossible. He turns deserts into gardens. He makes everything out of nothing. And this is all being built for you. A future full of grace, lightness, meaning. So keep going. Keep praying, even when it seems like nothing changes. Keep dreaming, even when the winds are against you. Keep planting faith, even if the ground seems dry. Because the rain will come, the sky will open, and when it happens, it will be beautiful. Not only because you will have won, but because you will have been shaped in the process. You will be a new version of yourself, more mature, firmer, more grateful, and closer to God. And this closeness will be your greatest treasure, because when you have presence, everything else follows. Today, God invites you. Turn your eyes to me. Take your focus off the problem. It takes the focus off the account that doesn't close, from time that doesn't come back, of the words that hurt. And look at me. I am your God. I am your refuge. I am your provider. You don't need to understand the whole way. You just need to trust that He takes you to the right destination, and that in the midst of the journey, He will provide, sustain, restore. So rest, not as someone who gave up, but as someone who trusts, because heaven is working, and you are much, much closer than you think. And when that moment comes, and it will come, you won't just be grateful for the blessing. You will be grateful for the process, because you will realize that it was precisely the waiting that strengthened its structure. It was the fight that taught you to value peace. It was scarcity that showed you the value of provision. It was God's silence that made you listen to your own soul and deep down rediscover your essence. What time didn't take away, what no one took from you, what the Creator Himself planted within you. And no matter how much they try to tell you otherwise, there is something about you that is eternal, that doesn't break, that doesn't get lost. The breath of God is there. His life pulses in every cell of your body, in every beat of your heart. Your plan, not chance. It's purpose, not coincidence. And while the world tries to distract you with voices of comparison, fear, doubt, and insecurity, heaven keeps repeating, "You are mine. I chose you. I have a path for you." But this path is not automatic. It is built, step by step, decision by decision, faith for faith. God to give you everything now. He is sovereign for that. But He chooses to teach you, because He loves you too much to give you something that you are not ready to live. Blessing needs to find a firm heart, and the process, however uncomfortable it may seem, is precisely forming that heart in you. So, if today hurts, if today seems stuck, if everything seems out of place, breathe. God is organizing things in the invisible. And when you least expect it, everything will fall into place. What seemed lost will be restored. What seemed impossible will happen. What seemed distant will become real. But until then, don't stop planting. So words of faith, gestures of love, attitudes of hope. Be light, even on cloudy days. Be kind, even when no one is with you. Be faithful, even when your eyes see nothing but scarcity. Because whoever plants in the desert sees flowers where no one expected them. And God is watching. He doesn't miss a detail. Don't ignore a gesture. Don't forget a seed. You're being seen. It's being taken care of. It is being prepared. And yes, it is also being tested. Because testing reveals what is ready. And when you pass, heaven releases. But unlike what the world preaches, prosperity with God is not just about receiving. It's about living with meaning. It's about knowing that you can have it all and still remain humble, grateful, and full of faith. It's about using what you have to bless, to transform, to sow good. There is no lasting prosperity without generosity, because the heart that only holds back eventually becomes heavy. But the heart that shares, that one lives light, lives full. And it is this lightness that God wants to give you. Not just a full bank account, but a soul at peace. A harmonious home, a firm spirit, a heart full of life. And that starts today, with small decisions, with the way you deal with little, with the way you talk to others, with the thoughts you feed, with the choices you make even when no one is watching. Prosperity begins in the invisible, then it manifests itself in the visible. Therefore, cleanse your heart of sorrows. Free yourself from the guilt that still holds you back. Abandon the thoughts of "I'm not capable, it's not for me, God has forgotten me," because that's a lie. The truth is that God is much closer than you think, and He has already begun to move the sky in your favor. You may not hear it yet, you may not see it yet, but soon you will live. And when you live, you will testify. Go tell others that God is faithful, that He hears, that He responds, that He never fails, that He arrives at the right time. And this testimony will bless lives, because there are people who will be healed by your story. They will rediscover their faith through their example. They will start over because of your courage to continue. So don't stop now. You are close, closer than you think. And when this new time arrives, don't forget where you came from. Don't forget the difficult days that taught you to pray, to depend, to believe. Don't forget the promises God made to you when no one else believed in you. Don't forget the faith that sustained you when the ground was lacking. Because it is these memories that will keep your essence intact. And they will remind you every day that everything you lived was worth it. So continue. There is still a lot to live for, lots to receive, lots to build. And the most beautiful thing is that you are not alone. God walks with you. And no matter how much the winds try to push you back, no matter how much fear knocks at the door and your mind screams with doubts, there is one certainty that no one can take away from you. God did not bring you here to abandon you halfway. He began a good work, and He is faithful to complete it. Faithful, not just with words, but with attitudes that are revealed in everyday life, in small responses, in silent deliverances, in details that only you and He know. You don't need to rush to prove yourself, nor despair to achieve what you haven't yet achieved. The race of faith is not about speed, it is about constancy. It's not about having all the answers. It's about keeping your heart steady even in the midst of questions. It's knowing how to rest without giving up. Wait without getting frustrated. Continue even if the landscape still looks the same. Because inside, everything is changing. Something is already happening. You feel, even if you don't see it with your eyes yet, your spirit already realizes that something is about to be born. A new season, a new chapter, a new vision. And no, it won't be like before. It will not be a repetition of past pains. God doesn't work with copies. He writes original stories. And yours is being written with care, with intention, with love. So stop holding on to what was, to what hurt you, which didn't work. You're not stuck in your yesterday. Your God is the God of today and tomorrow. And He wants to make you understand that the best hasn't happened yet, because He is still creating, He is still surprising you. He is still moving heaven and earth for you. But to live the new, you need to let go of the old. Leave behind what has already completed its cycle. Stop revisiting places where your soul no longer fits. You have relationships, habits, thoughts, and guilt that only slow you down. And God wants to take you to a place where these bonds don't fit. A place of lightness, abundance, healing. You need to choose. Choose to let go. Choose to look forward. Choose to believe again. Because faith is a daily choice, not a fleeting feeling. It's you saying, today I decide to believe, even without feeling anything. Today I choose to trust, even without understanding everything. And when you do that, the sky moves. The paths align. What was locked begins to unlock. Because when God finds faith, He releases favor. A favor that opens doors where there were only walls. Favor that connects you with the right people. A favor that multiplies limited resources. A favor that transforms the desert into a garden. That's what awaits you. A life with purpose. A story with the weight of glory. A walk where every step is worth it. But make no mistake, it won't always be easy. It won't always be quick, but it will always be safe. Because you're no longer walking alone. God Himself is going ahead, opening paths, undoing traps, preparing the ground. So stop for a moment and look around. Look with different eyes. Try to notice the signs, the small miracle that has already begun, the discreet response that you almost didn't notice, the detail that seemed random but was part of the plan. God speaks like this, in the details, in seemingly casual encounters, in the right words that arrive at the right time, in the silence that calms, in the invisible touch that heals. And He is speaking to you now, yes, with you, that He felt forgotten, who thought heaven was too busy, who almost stopped praying. He's saying, come back, start again. I'm still here. Nothing that happened made me give up on you. And you can start over today. Faith allows this. God is not tied to your past. He looks at your heart right now. He sees your willingness to trust again, to walk again, even with your heart still learning to beat lightly. He doesn't need you to be perfect. He just needs you there, with an available heart, with a surrendered spirit, with eyes turned upward. And from there, everything starts to change. The answers arrive. Directions become clearer. Peace, which seemed impossible, begins to occupy the empty spaces. And then you understand that true prosperity is not just what you have, but who you become. You become someone who walks with purpose, who lives with gratitude, who serves with love, who rests in the midst of the storm, who trusts the invisible, who has his feet on the ground, but his eyes in the sky. You become light, not because he never suffered, but because he learned to shine even in the darkness. And this light will attract lives. It will light up paths. It will generate transformation. This is God's plan, to bless you so that you will bless. Heal you so that you can heal. Stand up so that others know they can stand up too. Nothing will be in vain. No pain, no waiting, no tears. Everything will be used. Everything will be rewarded. Everything will be restored. So continue. Walk a little further. Take a deep breath. Dry your face. Raise your head. And what comes next is bigger than you can imagine. It's an answer to an ancient prayer. It's harvesting seeds that you thought had died. It's a door that opens when you were ready to give up. It's a miracle that arrives quietly in the middle of the routine, surprising the tired heart, renewing the faith that was almost extinguished. Because that's how God does it. He arrives when we least expect it, but never after the right time. And in this new time, you won't just receive. You will live. You will live lightly, with wisdom, with maturity. You will live with new eyes, with a grateful heart, with a faith that matured in pain, but blossomed in hope. And the most beautiful thing about it all, you will recognize yourself different. You will notice that something in you has changed. That rush gave way to peace. That doubt was silenced by confidence. That fear was overcome by the presence of God. You will look in the mirror and see someone stronger. Not because everything was resolved, but because you allowed yourself to be transformed from within. True victory is not just what happens outside, but what is born inside you while you wait. And it was in the silence, in the scarcity, in the middle of the valley, that you discovered who you really are. A beloved son, a chosen daughter, someone who carries the mark of promise, someone who was born to win, to impact, to prosper in all areas of life. Yes, the prosperity that God has for you is complete. It touches the body, the mind, the spirit. She reorganizes the house, relationships, projects. She cleans out what is no longer useful and plants what is eternal. But to live this, you need to keep trusting, even without signs, even when it seems like everything has stopped. Because true faith does not depend on what the eyes see, but on what the heart believes. In your heart, even if it's hurt, even if it's tired, even if it's full of unanswered questions, still believes. You are still here, still listening, still searching, and that is already a miracle. This already shows that you didn't give up. And if you haven't given up, God won't give up on you either. On the contrary, He will honor every step, every seed, each amen said through tears, each renunciation made in silence, every right choice that no one saw, but that heaven recorded. What you have experienced up until now has not been punishment. It was preparation. It was forged. It was alignment. And when the blessing comes, and it will come, you will hold it firmly, with balance, with gratitude. You will not get lost in the midst of abundance, because you have learned to depend on God in scarcity. You will not exchange the Creator for creation, because you already understand that the source of everything that is good is in Him. And this will keep you firm, prosperous, and at peace. And you will overflow, because the blessing that comes from God does not stop with you. It passes you by. The prosperity that heaven showers is for you to live well, but also to transform lives around you, to be an answer in the lives of others, to be a living testimony that God is faithful. So when it starts happening, don't be alarmed. Don't doubt it. Just receive. Receive with humility, with reverence, with maturity, and with a heart ready to continue serving even when blessed, to continue sowing even while reaping, to continue believing even after the promise has been fulfilled. Because faith is not just for difficult times. She is the foundation of your life, the firm foundation on which you build everything. And God wants to see you grow on this foundation, climbing new steps, seeing more clearly, living with more purpose. You will grow, and not just in what the world sees. It will grow inside, in wisdom, in discernment, in spiritual sensitivity, and this growth will take you to places you never imagined. Because God's dreams are bigger than yours, and He doesn't just want to give you a comfortable life. He wants to use you, reveal you, position yourself. You are not called to live hidden, shrunken, erased. You are called to shine, and not with the light of the ego, but with the light of the Spirit. The light that heals, that lifts, that transforms. And that light will shine where there is darkness. It will touch people you don't even know. It will reach hearts that only you can reach because only you lived what you lived. And that makes you unique. So don't hide your pain anymore. Use them. Transform them. Tell your story, because God will use all of this to inspire, to heal, to lead others. You are part of the plan. You are not just someone who suffers and then wins. You are someone who, despite suffering, continues to be an instrument of light. And God will honor you for it. It will give you more than you asked for. It will restore more than you imagined. It will open doors you didn't even dare dream of, because He saw everything. And now it's time to live what was promised, not with anxiety, but with expectation, not in a hurry, but with peace, not afraid, but with faith, because your time is coming, and nothing, absolutely nothing, can stop what God has set aside for you.